Okay, so in this video we're actually going to go ahead and finish wiring up our job results. So in the last video we were able to go ahead and populate the drop downs with this cascading drop down here based on the location is filtered by depending on the department that was selected. And then we wired up our search box here and our button to send all the information to another page in the query string parameters. So now once we get to this page here, the search results are still populating with fake data, and we want to wire this up to pull from real data. And then we also want to clean up our search filter options here a little bit, so that way they actually kind of mimic or match the type of information that we are filtering the search by. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and jump into our search filter. This is our HTML that's pulling the headers, and we want to clean this up a bit. So the first thing we want to do is just put in some options. So let's just say sort by, let's say by date, and then the value here we want to put date as a filter option. And we want to just clean this up a bit. We probably will not get time to go ahead and wire these up, but we at least want it to, from a UI perspective, make more sense. So let's put department in there, department, right? And just make this department. And then make this location. Now I probably should make all these lowercase. And then make date lowercase, and let's get rid of option 2. Okay, so that's going to be our sort by. So now what we want to do for this one, let's just say location, and then for this one department. Actually, let's keep them in order, because I think in the previous page department was first, then location. Okay, and as far as like our options, let's just leave this blank. Let's get rid of this. And what we're going to end up doing is putting a ng repeat on this guy here to pull these dynamically from the back end. So you have the list of options, and then because of the query string parameter, we will select which one of those should be active. Now let's go down to keywords. Keywords we need to clean up a bit, because if we look at the browser, this is actually kind of doing like a key term or like a word cloud, term cloud, or something like that. So what we want to do is just convert this over to an input box, and let's borrow the input box from the slideshow template, and basically let's just copy this group here. I think this div is going to give us everything that we need. So let's go back to filter options. All these buttons here that's by tag, let's go ahead and get rid of that. So let's delete this piece. We need our BR, so let's put the BR back. And then just paste in our div for input group. Save this off. Let's push this up and see what it looks like so far. So let's go ahead and publish this. And then once that's done, hit refresh. And department location, this looks good. Now we got a little wrap here. These are still ones, but we're going to wire those up. And then sort by default is department. I thought we were going to, let's do date by default. Oh, we have everything as selected by. So let's get rid of this. Let's clean this up so that way we're adhering to the standard for HTML. Let's save this all. And now for the keyword location, we don't want this to wrap. Let's put, I think there is a bootstrap text. There's a class for no wrap, so let's try that. Let's save that off. And then while we're here, let's go ahead and put in our ng repeat for these options, right? And basically we're just going to borrow what we did for the slideshow. So for the slideshow for these options, we're really just grabbing this guy here. So let's go ahead and drop this in. Where's my department? Search filter. Okay, so this guy here. So we're going to have VM departments, which is going to hold a collection of all the available options. And we actually have the singular, so if we do an ng model, again, this is just going to hold the selected option. So this is for department. And we're doing a single variable instance there, and this is the collection. That was our naming convention, if I remember correctly. And now what we want to do is, because we're going to grab all that from the query string parameter, let's just go ahead and do ng selected. Oops. ng selected. And we have to put a little logic here. And basically what we're going to say so we're going to loop through that collection. So basically we're going to say if item equals the selected value, that's the one that's selected. So the selected value in this case is going to be VM department. Right? Alright, so let's just copy this. No, okay, I'm sorry. So if item equals the selected value, then this should be selected else empty string. Alright, so let's copy this. And we're just going to update all these variables to reflect the same for location. Does this make sense? I mean, right? I mean, basically all we're doing is just looping through the collection, building out all the options. And because one of those options is going to be selected, we want that to be based on the value that's in the query string. So when the page loads, you want that drop down to be whatever selected value is, to reflect that in the drop down, right? That's the selected option. So that's all we're doing. So we're going to change this to location, and then again iterate through our locations collection, plural. Order by is right, because remember when we pulled those fresh, they were not ordered by alpha, so we're forcing that order by here in the template. And I think that's it. So in select, do the same thing here, ng model. And all these variables right now for this component does not exist, so we're going to have to go in there and create them. Location, right? All right, so that's that keyword. Okay, let's do Control KD, get our formatting right, save this all. Let's push this up to SharePoint, see where we land. Let's push this up, publish. All right, go here, we hit refresh. All right, cool. Nothing selected, and this is empty because we haven't wired up our backend service yet. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to the component for search filter. So I'm just dropping here, do a search on search filter. So search filter. Oh, let me search the entire document. That's search filter. Okay. All right. So basically, all we need to do is again borrow some code from the slider. So let me find the slider. Where's the slider? Since we've done this already, we just really want to copy and paste, and basically it's going to be pretty much the same. So I'm gonna just copy that line. So on the net, which is like our page load event, we're just going ahead and call the refiners, have it grab all the locations, distinct locations and distinct departments for all of our job postings. So if you remember correctly, this is just a reusable service function that scoped everything by a result source, which kind of keeps the logic and encapsulated. So that's going to grab all the locations and set that to those local collections. Then the next thing we need to do for the selected value is this is actually where it becomes a little bit new. Okay, so now we need to grab or capture all of the query string parameters. So we're just going to dump those into local variables here within the component. And let's just call this keywords just passed in. And then we just set these to empty strings for now. And then we'll do one for the location that's passed in. And then we'll do one for the department that's passed in. All right, so, and these are just going to be query string parameters. So if you take a look at, do we have a function for this? There should be a reusable function for query string parameters. I don't see it here, so let me grab it. I have a code snippet here where I can just pull from, and this is split up between two functions. So there's the private function. Let's just paste that here. And basically, this is a lot difficult than what it should be. You can see all the regex expressions, and basically for the passing URL and then the query string name, it's going to extract that and then return that value back to the caller. If a URL is not passed in, it's just going to take in the current URL that the page is on. So that's going to be the private function. And then for the public function, right here in our services file, we're just going to grab this guy here. Let me just paste this in right under site URL. This is going to be our public function. So basically, we just assume for the public function, we just assume it's the current page, the URL, and we're just going to pass in the query string name. All right, so let me save that. Let's go back to our component, and let's go ahead and start extracting what we need for that URL. So for this guy, and again, this has to be our services object. All right, so get query string parameter. I think for keywords, we're just using K. That's the parameter name. Let's just confirm this in the URL. So yep, K for the keywords, and then LOC lock for the location, and DPT for the department. So let's go ahead and drop those in. Just grab this guy here to the location, LOC, and then for department, DEPT. Okay, cool. Get rid of these extra semicolons. Alright, so now we have this all wired up. Let's just console log this, make sure, because we made a lot of changes, and you know me, I don't like to make too many changes without verifying everything is still working. So let's just put in a keyword, plus sign keyword underscore keywords, right? And then plus sign loc, equals, and then let's do plus sign here, underscore location, and then plus sign this guy out for the department, underscore department. All right, so let's validate all these changes. So we got the search filter, we got services, and the component. Let's push this up, and oh, we're getting an error. I think my cloud share session has expired. All right, 1 second. I'll pause this video while this is loading back up. All right, so this is now loaded. Let's see if we can push these up now. All right, so that's up there. It looks good. Let's go here and hit refresh. All right, and department and locations are loaded. The selected value is not selected. Let's go back and let's just test this out. And then another thing we can do is look at our console log since we're logging these out. So we're going to select engineering. We're going to select Cincinnati and test 1, 2, 3. All right, so we're still not getting our selected values here in the drop down, so we have to double check that. Cincinnati engineering, though the values did come over, keyword test 1, 2, 3. Let's confirm in our console log. Test 1, 2, 3 Cincinnati. Okay, so this looks good. Oh, we're not setting the value. Okay, so now we are in the JP search filter component. The one thing we're not doing, we're not setting the local variable. So we can turn these headlights off. Our controller variables. So we have to get those set. So we want to set the control for keywords for a component and set that equal to underscore keywords, right? And then set our location equal to underscore location, and then set our department variable to underscore department. All right, so now if we push this up, that was all in the components, right? Yeah. All right, so now if we push this up here, go here, hit refresh, and I'm expecting to see Cincinnati engineering selected in the drop down. There we go, Cincinnati engineering selected in the drop down. Awesome. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's switch gears a little bit. So now we have our filter set up. We didn't put in the hooks in our filter though. So if we're changing this, we're not going to see a new call made or anything like that. So we're not going to tackle that for right now. But this is a great baseline for that. But what we want to switch gears over to now is to get our job posting results populated. So let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do job posting results, we need to go here to our search jobs results, right? And this is a lot of HTML. Let me pause the video real quick so I can collapse these so we can see exactly what's going on. All right, so I got all this markup collapsed. And as you can see here, this bottom one here, this is all of our paging. Everything else is just going to be the result set from the job posting results. So let's just go ahead and let's mark this out real quick. So we're going to put in our ng repeat. And what I'm doing, I'm putting in things that do not exist yet. So VM dot, we're going to dump our collection of the results into items, right? And then also what we want to do is let's just write out the job title. And normally we're going to have a title property. And this is the search result, so understand that we're dealing with managed properties at this point. We're not dealing with internal site column names because this is going against the SharePoint search API. Okay, so let's just save that. Nothing's going to happen, right? We just we're priming our template to display results once we get this collection hydrated, and we're only going to display one property, which is this item.title property. So if we go into our components, let's look for search jobs results template. Search jobs results template. Okay, so this is our guy, and we're just going to call, let's look at our services. It's going to be get jobs results. This is the guy that goes and get all of our keyword results. I'm sorry, all of our job posting results based off a keyword in the max count, and it's going to call the search API. And we're using this already on the home page, right? This is where we had the example of oh, I want to display these job postings. One of these, let's just go back real quick. Just to recap, just in the event you're picking this video up at midway in between the course, I just want to catch you up on what's been done already and how we're able to reuse a lot of methods that already exist. So if we look at this this home page, this first section here is being pulled by the SharePoint Search REST API, and this one is being pulled by the SharePoint List API, which is just querying against the list. And what we wanted to display here is that in the previous courses we talked about the difference between doing a search REST API versus a list REST API, but how you can get them to display the exact same type of information. One is going to be a lot faster than the other, especially when you start doing searching, filtering, and refining and things along those lines. So based off of that, because we've done that work on the home page, we can just leverage this get job results method, which is in our services library, our services JavaScript library. So let's just jump over to components. Let's just call this, obviously anything that we go against the services library is going to be based off the service object, and this is just going to be a function call. Okay, I'm doing this from scratch, bear with me. Curly braces here and enter. I don't need these extra curly braces because I'm doing these from scratch. Deshaun. Alright, so that JSON data, once it makes the service call, is going to return. It's going to be in here in the D, and we're going to just do this control items, right? Remember, in our template we're using the items collection and our ng repeat loop. And then we want to pass in, right now, the signature for, let's just pop back over there. Our signature for this get jobs results is expecting keyword and account. I think we can populate that for now. The keyword here is going to be, again, from the query string parameter keyword, which we don't have set up here. But if we did have it set up, it would be, let's just stub these out real quick. So let's do keywords equal to empty string, and then our max count, we want to do 9, right? So let's just do keywords and then just pass in 9 for our max count. Okay, now this doesn't mean anything, so basically what we want to do, actually let's just do this, let's just pass in a wildcard so we get some results, And let's just push this up to make sure everything is copacetic at this point in time. Let me just publish these 3. And I'm just going to get the top 9 results, not based on the search that was inputted. So let's just do business development and Detroit and then search on that. I'm passing those values in. Good. And oops, I didn't get anything. What happened? Syntax error with my repeat. What happened? Let's go and take a look at here. ng repeat item. Oh, in items. I just publish that up. My bad. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's go here, do a control F5 for hard refresh, and let's see what do we get. We should get something. Alright, so basically this is real data, well, at least a real title. This is real data pulling from the results set, and for some odd reason we got 10, right? 3, 6, 9, 10 versus the 9 that was specified. Okay, let's take a look at our component. We did indeed pass in 9. Look at the services, max count, if it's not populated, 4. And oh, here's our guy. We're hard coding 10 inside the query string. So let's update that and have max count control that the number of results that we send, that we would get back. All right, so that's that. Let me push this up. Just push it up just to confirm that was the issue. And hit refresh here. And instead of 10, I should get 9. All right, good. All right, cool. All right, so what we want, this is just a random 9, right? Because we're passing in a wildcard for the keyword, and we're not considering the location or the department. So we need to go ahead and grab that in. So in order to do that, let's just jump back over to our component, JP results component. But we've already done most of that work using the search filter component, right? So this guy here, we just want to lift and copy. I was going to say lift and shift, but snag and copy what's needed for that. And let's go down to our search results here. Paste this guy. Let's replace this. Paste this here. And now we should actually have a true keyword, and we have the location and department. Let's pass in location and department here. Underscore department and location, comma. We don't need the double underscores. Get rid of that. Okay. So now this job method signature is invalid, right? Because we're passing way too many parameters and what it is expecting. So if we switch over to services, let's just add these in here. And again, you have to make sure you add them in the right order. So let's just do department and location. All right, and then the max count. So basically, we take our keyword, and if this comes over and it's empty, or if it's not empty, we want, or no, I'm sorry. If it is empty, we want to set this to a wildcard, right? Because they're not, the user will not always pass in a keyword, right? Because they have any sort of combinations from the previous screen, where the previous screen allows them to put in department, location, and or keyword, and any one of those 3 are optional. So we have to make sure that if they don't pass in the keyword, we set it to a wildcard, or else we're going to get skewed results. And if they do pass in a department and location, well, we kind of solved this before when we were doing our cascading filtering for our slider. So get job refiners is going to have, how do you handle this piece here? So this is the magic line here, and basically we've already figured out in a reusable private method, we already figured out how to generate the right syntax for refiner filtering based on any combination of the department being null, location is null, In our case, we actually want to go ahead and pass both of these in. If either one of these are null or if both of them are populated, this method here is going to figure all that out. So if we go to the definition, sneak peek, this is what that functionality or logic reflects. All right. So basically, this is going to return a filter string that's going to be primed and ready to go, and we can just drop this guy right here, right? And that's going to give us a refiner needed for location and department and handle those different combination or scenarios. So once we have that, keyword is there, filter is there, the max count is there. All of the variables that are passed in, we're taking into account, generating our REST API URL, and then we'll send it through our business logic, our private method that just goes and grab search results based on the REST API URL. I think we're good. So let's just save this. I think only my changes are in services, but I'll let component go for the ride, just in case. Yeah, we did change component because we're passing in those variables. All right, so now what we want to do, let's just confirm everything is everything. Hit refresh here. And now we probably have to do a little bit digging. This looks, for the most part, this looks okay. We're not spitting out location and department, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to validate this. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's spit out location and department. I have a result. I just don't know if it's the right results, right? So let's just confirm that. The first one, that's my refiner, and this is my search query. So let's just dig in here. What I'm looking for is the right JSON properties that's going to show me location and department. So if I do primary results, relevant results, table, row. All right, so there's my 9, and then my sales are going to give me all my column names. All right, so we're using title. Summary is one that we should be using because we have the summary. So let's go drop in what we can while we have it. Search results template. Summary should go here. Right, and again, all these are going to be off the item object, and I purposely do that. I use the same variable names or object names when I'm citing my template. Items for collection and item singular for individual items off that collection. It just makes copy and paste that much easier. This is my location. Item dot. I don't know what the dot is. Let's go find out which variable is holding our location. That's summary. So this guy here, location OW. Again, these are managed property names. So and some of these are default generated. So they're a little bit nasty. And some of these are the template or the placeholder refinable string ones that we leverage, and those are going to be what they are, just placeholders, and we're using those. And again, I'm not a big fan of those, and I tried to use alias to give a user or developer friendly name, but was unsuccessful to get that to work. All right, what else are we missing? So we have location, but we don't have department. We do not have department. Okay, so let's do this. Let's copy this. Our template actually does not support department, so what we're going to have to do is copy in a new line, and then here we want to put the department. And we know just with dealing with the refinable string that department is held in managed property 00. Yep, so these are all my departments, and this managed property 00. So string refinable 00. Okay. So now if I go back to my get job results method, which is this guy here, I need to, one, make sure I'm calling that property, which I am not. So let's just pass it in here. And once I'm calling it, it should appear in the results set, and then I can use it, which is going to be this guy here. All right, so let's push up services, no changes in component, change in the template. So let's do services and template. And this kind of speaks to the coding pattern that we're using, right? So I'm adding a new field that I wasn't dealing with before. I add that to my REST API call that says include, in my select property statement, include this missing field. And then in the template, I say, this is the field that's missing. I want to use it. And my changes are in two spots, one in the template to display it and one in the services to gather it. The component has 0 changes because the component is passed through. That's just a testament to the design pattern of your code. Keep your changes minimum and separate the roles and the responsibilities for the different areas of your code. All right, so now if we're looking at this, so far on the surface, this looks great. Yeah, it's all white, so it's perfect. Why is this slow? It's thinking. Oh man, I'm gonna have to interrupt and try it again. I think it got stuck. All right, here we go. All right, so we have Detroit and business development selected. So far, this looks good. And summary seems to be a variant, so that's great. All right, so we want to grab the image. Let's just grab the image, and then we'll do some testing, and then we'll call it a wrap for this video. Let's go to... Here's one thing I want to point out. Again, just in case you're jumping in mid-course, just want to highlight what's going on here. So we actually are calling for our job posting image, which is a publishing image. And that's stored in the managed property. Let's see if I can see it here. This managed property here, JP image OWS IMGE. So that's our managed property. So when we call that, but all we care about is the source URL for that image. This actually returns an image tag. So because it returns an image tag, once we have this result, we're looping through, taking that JSON, and for that value, that image tag, we're sending it through this reusable function that will extract the source URL and then dump into this image URL. This image URL property is one that we're making up, so we can leverage that in our template. It's available to us to use, so let's use it. So if I go up here in my template, this is where we're setting the source URL. Let's do ng source, right, because this is going to be an Angular token. And we would do item.image URL. And again, my image URL property is one that I always use. So regardless of which template, which business or data function I'm calling, if I'm manipulating that, it's always going to be stored in the image URL. And this is true if I'm making a search API call or a list API call. And because I'm dealing with that publishing image, regardless if it's an internal site column name or a managed property name, I'm always dumping that into the same local variable name within my collection. It just makes things so much easier, life so much easier. All right, so I have that. Let's go ahead and push this up. Again, if you missed on, with us walking through that, we went through a lot of detail in the previous course. So if you're jumping in the middle, start over so that all this is relevant and makes sense. All right. Okay, so this is refreshing now. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Images are dropping in, and they seem heavy. Look how slow they're loading in. And they are heavy. They are heavy. Why are they heavy? They're heavy because we're not using our image rendition. We got to use the image rendition. That's the lifesaver. All right, so let's see. Where are we? Job results. Here we go. So I already have it highlighted because I ran into this issue already. We have to put image rendition ID 9 at the end of these. So just paste this guy in. And basically what that's going to do, I will talk while I'm publishing this up. This is a SharePoint image rendition feature. And it crops our images to where they're always at the right size. If they come in with various size, especially if you're dealing with a responsive grid system that Bootstrap allows, one extra height, like in what this guy here is, because it's not uniform, throws off the entire grid system because it thinks that this is a space and it can't use that space, so everything kind of gets lopped to another line. So now that I have that image rendition ID in there, and I'm forcing all these images to be the right size regardless of what their original size is, it forces everything to be pixel perfect, and it uses the space the way it's supposed to use it. And then if I do a responsive design, squeeze it in, right, my images collapse and all my columns resize and everything goes the way they should go. Oh, we got a little problem in this one though. Oh, I probably have to do the same for the 2-line title. Yep. But yeah, that's the thing. So, obviously we can work through that and get that fixed. Again, in another video, we talked about how to, see, that's the thing. So when you're in desktop view, that one title that was wrapping, it doesn't wrap because it has enough real estate to keep everything on a single line. But then when you squeeze into, I think it was like a tablet vertical, right? So even this one here, so this is just, you do more spacing on that line. Again, look at a previous video about CSS. I think it's like every 5 tricks every SharePoint developer should know. 5 CSS tricks every SharePoint developer should know, something like that. It will help you overcome those types of issues, which is really important when you're dealing with responsive design, because the viewport dictates the grid system, and sometimes you can do that prematurely if your spacing is not correct. All right, so now let's test this out. Let's go back to our logo and go back to the home page here, and let's squeeze over here. Now let's select accounting and Charleston. No, oh, it was still loading. So accounting in Cincinnati. Let's search on that, and all my results should have accounting in Cincinnati, right? And we're only looking at the first 9 because we didn't do paging and all that stuff yet. And so far it looks good. But to really test this out, I want to let's just do GIS. That seems kind of like a unique title. So I want to do accounting in Cincinnati with a keyword GIS. So accounting, Cincinnati, and then GIS. And this should not be case sensitive. All right, search is going to figure all that out for us. All right, and interesting. I have results. It looks like I'm searching more than title. I just assume this is right. Here's my GIS technical. I don't know why these other ones are hitting on GIS though. It may be other fields that are part of the results, and it may be getting the hit on that, right, other than the title. So let's just do this. Let's do mechanical systems engineer, full title, right? So let's go back, accounting Cincinnati. That's our data set we're playing with. So accounting Cincinnati. Oops, I keep hitting this drop down before it's ready, so maybe I should do like a disable, and then once that JSON is fully loaded, then make it active to where the end user don't get what I'm seeing. All right, so now I'm doing a long title. Here's my mechanical systems engineer. This is concerning though. This is concerning. And this should not be an or, right? I should be hitting on all 3 of these. Mechanical systems engineer and the keyword Cincinnati, and then accounting. So you may have to do a little bit more research to make sure that our query filter is correct. But as of right now, it seems like it's filtering and it's doing what it needs to do. But then again, I'm skeptical because this is such a long statement that I should be only bringing up results to where that job posting has that long statement. Yeah, so, but that's it for now. I'll do some more research to make sure that this is wired up correctly. So in our next video, I think what we're going to do, let's go ahead and get paging in there. I know that's going to be a critical item, because paging is not that straightforward. Though all the hooks are there to make it happen, there's some math involved and all this other good stuff to get this working right. And our paging is a little bit more complex because we have this batch page as well. So right now we're only showing numbers for the first 5, but if I hit this, I should get the next 5, meaning 6 through 10, hit it again, 11 through 15, hit it again, 16 through 20, yada yada yada. And then I have the single advance here, and then obviously I have my paging for each individual page. And the way that this works, the way it should work once we get into that logic, is I only should be able to page through the result set that I have. And that's why, again, if you're comparing the difference between Search API versus List API, that this is a huge plus, because in that JSON that gets returned, I have the total result count, which I'm going to leverage to determine the paging. But if I do a list, and if I say top 10, it's not going to give me the total count in that list item. In that list. It's only going to give me the count of the batches that I'm looking at that point in time. So, over time, or the deeper you get into the solution, you really start to see the value of using Search API versus List API. All right, so that's it for this video. Again, like I said, we get into paging in the next one, and we get into really activating our search filter. If we have time, we get to the stuff on the left. If not, that will be the second to last video. All right, talk to you soon. See you in the comments. Let me know if there's any questions, concerns, any stumbling blocks. Until then, I'll see you.